and open up the meeting. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association Village Board. We're going to start off with a couple of administrative items. The first being to approve the minutes of our May 10th, 2022 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, I have a motion from Ginny. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Warren. Any discussion of those minutes?
I would like to move that we move the architecture topic to closed session.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jerome. We're approving the minutes from the last meeting. We're going to get to the
sorry.
agenda next.
Sorry, jumped the gun.
No problem. Any discussion on the minutes from the last meeting? All right, all in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3, 0, 0. Okay, next up. Now's your big moment, Jerome. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Motion from Ginny. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a second from Warren. Any discussion of tonight's agenda?
I'd like to move the RAC portion to the private session.
Okay, so what Jerome is asking is that we put a closed architecture session after the board bulletin board to address an architecture legal matter.
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion of the proposed amended agenda for tonight? Okay, I also have one thing I'd like to add. I'd like to move to add an education committee report to the committee report section of the meeting and extend that by another 5 minutes to cover the education committee.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the agenda as amended? 1, 2, 3, 0, 0. Okay, very good. All right. We are underway. So first up on our agenda, as always, are resident remarks. If you would like to make remarks to us, now is the time. Use the Zoom hand raise feature, and I will call you in the order that your hand goes up, and you will have up to 3 minutes to speak to us. Okay, I see one. All right, hang on. Let me get my timer ready here. Too many apps on this phone. There it is. Okay, Jeannie Cranefield, when you're ready, go ahead and unmute and you can begin.
I lost the picture for a minute. Sorry about that.
Okay.
My name is Jeannie Cranefeld. I have lived on Our Time Lane in Stevens Forest for the past 40 years. I'm speaking on behalf of the Howard County Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America local group about the proclamation that you will be discussing and hopefully voting on this evening. This proclamation honors the victims of gun violence. I know that Oakland Mills is no stranger to gun violence. And tonight, we have 15 new victims in just the past few hours. 14 children and a teacher slaughtered on an elementary school in Texas today. Is Stevens Forest Elementary School next on the target? Thunderhill, Guilford. I think this proclamation is appointment is important to speak up, to let people know that this is not acceptable. And I don't think I need to say more than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else for resident speak out?
I have a question for Jeannie.
Yes, Ginny.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure of this. There will be, Howard County will be lighting, I think, the George Howard building on Friday, June 3rd at 7.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be a Howard County proclamation by Calvin Ball or one of his staffer on Friday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. and they're going to light up the George Howard building. It's also my understanding that I believe also on June 3rd, the Howard County General Hospital is going to be lit up in orange because they obviously deal with the trauma of gun violence all the time. And then also in Howard County, there is a faith-based group called, oh shoot, I've lost the name here. They're going to be holding something at Lake Elkhorn Middle School on Saturday, June 11th at 10 a.m. from 10 till about 3, I think, where they're going to be they're hosting the Wear Orange Gun Violence Community Unity Awareness event. And they're asking people to wear orange. There'll be Moms Demand Action will be there with information on safe gun storage and preventing gun violence. I think there's going to be live entertainment and some speakers. And that is going to be on Saturday, June 11th at 10 a.m. at the Lake Elkhorn Middle School on Cradle Rock Way.
And you're trying to get CA to pass this resolution tomorrow night. No, Thursday night. And see,
Yes.
we'll, I don't know what, but light up something. It may be.
You light up something, you can, if you can put an orange light bulb in your front porch lamp, that would be great. If you wear orange, the weekend of June 3rd is actually National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And that entire weekend is kind of wear orange. If you can wear orange, attend some of these events, maybe put an orange balloon outside of your house. I know that the Columbia Association has done this proclamation. I know last year and possibly the year before. I wasn't involved before that. So we're counting on their support again. And I know that it's an important issue in this county. So I know that they'll support this, I'm sure.
Well, yeah.
And thank you, Jenny, for all of your support.
No, I mean, the board will be voting on it Thursday night and we'll see what happens, but I'm confident, well, we'll see. But my point was, I think we need to do more than that. I think we need to look at whether CA can, I don't know what, light up the Rouse statue down at the whatever lakefront, something at the lakefront that people will see.
Well, I know that the Howard County Moms Demand Action has been working with local merchants. Ellicott City, I know Ellicott City, the main street in Ellicott City, there's quite a few merchants that light up in orange and put placards in their windows. I know we're getting Howard County, the General Hospital, like I say, to light up the building and wear orange, George Howard Building. And I know they're working on a few other things, and some of the local merchants in some of the village centers also support Wear Orange for gun violence, for the gun violence survivors.
Okay, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, well, that takes us right into new business, and the new business is the resolution before CA for the 2022 proclamation about the National Gun Violence Awareness Day. So Jenny, you brought this to the board. Did you want to cover it?
Yeah, I apologize that I know it's a last minute thing. That's true also last night at the Board Operations Committee, there were 4 of us and we amended the May 26th CA board to include this as well. But I've sent this out to you before, and if you read it, there are just, a couple of things. And if anybody's concerned about the Second Amendment, if you read down, whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. So that's there. And whereas Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. Whereas, I won't read all these, but whereas every day more than 110 Americans are killed, we can add 15 more today by gun violence, alongside more than 200 are shot and wounded. On an average, there are 16,000 gun homicides every day. So you can continue to read down with what's happening. And unfortunately today, especially, well, any life is precious, but elementary school kids, 14 died is what I'm hearing, and one teacher, and I don't know how many more were wounded, but Buffalo last week, I don't know, there's so many, it's hard to remember them all. And this is just an expression on the part of, you would be the first village board, as usual, to consider this. CA will consider it Thursday night, but I don't know of any other village board that is considering it. I hope somehow more of them do. But you would be a first to actually consider approving it. I don't know how you'll vote, but to certainly consider approving it. And you already have orange shirts, so, right? I don't know if there are any other questions. But I hope you'll consider it. I hope you'll move for approval and consider it whenever that's appropriate, or whatever we have to do tonight. I know it's last minute, so I apologize for that, but thank you, Jonathan.
Sure, sure. Are there any questions for Ginny? Any discussion?
Question, the Hadaya, is she from CA, from Columbia?
Who?
Hadaya Pendleton?
Yeah,
Jean,
Yeah, Hadia Pendleton. Hadia Pendleton marched in President Obama's second inaugural parade. And 1 week later, she was shot and killed on a playground in Chicago. So this, her friends started this, and this is to honor her life and the lives of other gun violence victims. And we wear orange. It was her favorite color. And also orange is the color that hunters wear in the woods to protect themselves and others from being shot.
Okay, so this is a local, well, obviously it's a national day. It's a local proclamation recognizing a national day.
mhm.
Okay,
I'd like to make the motion that we approve the proclamation.
before we do that, normally we don't vote on new business. That's a board standard. There's nothing in our legal documents that says we can't. So before we entertain a motion to approve the proclamation, is there a motion due to the timing of when this event would occur versus when our next meeting is there a motion to waive that standard to consider voting on this tonight?
I'll make that motion then.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second. All right, is there discussion?
yeah, I'm confused. Are we just voting to recognize this day?
Yeah,
We
Okay.
would, yeah, we would officially recognize this day as Oakland Mills Village. Similar to what CA is going to consider doing Thursday across Columbia.
yeah, Rebecca, and the last one here says, whereas we renew our commitment to reduce, gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our residents safe. That would be part of what you would be doing tonight. And you would change it now, instead of now therefore be it resolved the Columbia Association, it would be the Oakland Mills Village Board Association declares the first Friday in June 3rd to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Columbia. And you wouldn't have to do anything else. You don't have to, unless you'd want to do something more in the village.
But we can't declare it National Gun Violence Day. We can just say Oakland Mills is going to observe it or something, right?
Right, that we would have, yeah. I think the proclamation is titled, I'm not sure that it should be titled that way because Oakland Mills and Columbia can't declare a national anything day, we can just declare it here locally or declare that we are recognizing this national day.
That's a good point. So you want to change the wording there. It's a very good point. So I consider those all friendly amendments and would accept them all. Well,
Okay, well, I'm gonna call a vote on the motion we have open, because before we can even amend this and vote on it, we need to agree as a board that we're going to suspend the standard due to the timing of this and, consider it for a vote. So all in favor of suspending the standard for the purpose of considering this proclamation?
Aye.
1, 2, 3. I think that's Warren's hand. And Rebecca, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, 4-0-0. Okay, so now that we now that we have a firm that we all agree that we want to take a vote on this proclamation, is there? I'm gonna call for a motion to approve the proclamation, and then if we want to amend, we can do that in discussion. So, is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
Say that again.
I'm going to call for a motion to approve the proclamation, and then during discussion, we can choose to amend it.
Gotcha.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
I make the motion to approve the proclamation.
Okay, I have a motion from Jerome. Is there a second? Okay, I have a second from Rebecca. Okay, is there a discussion on the proclamation?
So is this where we amend the wording that we talked about a few minutes ago?
Yeah, so for example, Sandy, if you scroll up to the beginning, I would like to propose that we retitle this 2022 proclamation declaring that Oakland Mills Village recognizes the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Is there other discussion?
Whereas the nation, including Oakland Mills.
Oakland Mills,
communities-
yes.
Yeah. In Village Association, Community Association.
No, I think we can just say Oakland or Oakland Mills Village.
And then,
at the very end, you want it,
yeah, here.
And that there, I think we can say that the Oakland Mills Community Association declares the first Friday in June 3rd, 2022 to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Oakland Mills.
Those are good amendments, guys. Maybe
Any
if
further?
some other
I'm sorry,
village
Ginny.
board- No, I was thinking if some other village board wants to consider it, the one you have makes more sense for a village board, village, whatever. Yeah.
All right, is there any further discussion?
What about that first paragraph where it says,
Oh, good catch.
Oakland Mills, Columbia, in Columbia, Maryland.
Yeah.
If this, Jonathan, if this passes, can we give you the authority? And Sandy, if you spot another one where it should be Oakland Mills, you can just change it. not have to come back?
Yeah, I think we can do that, but I think that is everything.
Can you go back to that first line though? It says, this proclamation declares the first Friday to be National Gun Violence. Don't we want that to be Oakland Mills recognizes? Like we did with the title? We're not declaring anything.
Right, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, recognizes.
Good catch.
Yep.
It would be really nice if we had some, I don't know, local names or faces that we could put locally to this movement for us.
How about the gentleman that was killed in front of Verona?
Well, we don't need to, I guess,
Oh,
think
okay.
off the top of our heads right now of things bad. It would just,
You know, there have been others, a Marine a long time ago. I'm trying to think of others where, but anyway. Or shot and wounded, not necessarily killed over the years.
Yeah, I think, I mean, since it is a national day, and I guess Hadia's shooting, inspired it, I wouldn't want to take away from her. And unfortunately, I think trying to recognize anyone or some people locally, we're inevitably going to leave someone out. So my preference would be not to, not to try and basically recognize everyone by recognizing no one individually.
Good point.
I agree.
Uh-huh.
So shouldn't the very title be, instead of 2022 proclamation declaring Oakland Mills Village recognizes, shouldn't it just say Oakland Mills Village recognizes the 2022 proclamation? It doesn't really.
Yeah, yes, good catch. Yes. Well, is there a proclamation, or it's just Oakland Mills Village
recognizes
recognizes?
the first day in June.
Yeah, so take out everything between recognizes and, yeah, up to declaring, and just put the T. Yeah, now we have two thes. Don't you love how Word tries to help you by highlighting way more than you want to highlight? There we go.
Yeah, that's much better.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I'm going to call the vote. So everyone in favor of approving the recognition document as amended?
Wait, excuse me, I think there's one more. My mic was off. Under Oakland Mills Village there, whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is local government's highest responsibility. We could say is Oakland Mills Village Board's responsibility, not the highest necessarily, but Oakland Mills Village Board.
I think we should leave it.
Yeah, I think because really the lowest level of government that officially has a public safety function is, an actual local, for us, it's Howard County, right? Our
Okay,
police and fire and rescue are all Howard County.
okay, I withdraw it. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to try to call the vote. All in favor of approving as amended? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Welcome, Bill. All right. Ginny and Jeannie, thank you for bringing this to us.
Well, no, thank you all for considering it and voting for it. And thank Jeannie for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
And I just want to say thank you for all you do for Howard, for Oakland Mills, and for recognizing this day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to move into old business now. And our only old business item is the options for the Stevens Forest Pond. Jerome, I don't recall whether you were in the audience for this meeting, but for the other members of the board, if you recall, John McCoy from CA was in to talk to us about watershed projects in Oakland Mills and mentioned some work that would have to be done on the Stevens Forest Pond, I think due to a drainage issue. So he is back tonight to talk to us about the options for the pond, and we have 30 minutes set aside for that discussion. So John, if you'd like to take it away and walk us through what's happening and what you're considering, and then if you could just leave some time at the end of the 30 minutes for questions and answers from the board, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll do that. And thank you for providing some time. Just as kind of a review, we have been concerned, received complaints about Stevens Forest Pond overflowing, the emergency spillway flowing out across the pathway. We looked into that, and as currently structured, Stevens Forest Pond has a 6-inch plastic pipe that is the discharge that drops down on the pond side of the berm, makes a right-hand turn and discharges out at the foot of the berm. And we had that scoped, actually ran a video camera up in there. I showed you guys that video, or of course pictures from it at the last meeting. Where that 90-degree is, there is rock that has been dropped down in there and is stuck in that bend, and that's causing the discharge from that pond to be inadequate. And when we get good rain, the pond will overflow across the pathway out through the emergency spillway. So our first cut on that was, gee, maybe we could just run something up in there and shake all that rock loose. And unfortunately, all that rock is right about the same size as the 6-inch diameter pipe. Running something that would perhaps vibrate that rock violently enough to break it up and allow us to wash it out of there would also destroy the pipe. So we have gone back and looked at the inspection that we paid Baylands Design and Consultants to do in 2016 on the pond. And we've looked at the state regulations on small ponds and berms. And we contracted with Strawn Environmental to give us a quick analysis and some options. And we got a couple of, basic, I'll call them principles that we're working with. One, we understand that the pond not only serves as a stormwater pond, but it's also a local amenity. So we respect the need to maintain as much water surface in there as possible. The other thing that we have looked at is, as it currently stands, that pond is regulated by the state under, well, we call it design criteria, NRCS MD 378. And what that is, NRCS is National Conservation Resource Service, and Maryland MD, and 378 is code number. And what that says is that berm is over 6 feet tall, and that pond backs or holds more than 3 feet of water during the 100-year storm. So it has a set of standards that it has to meet, which it actually currently doesn't. The outfall's insufficient. The berm actually doesn't have an impervious core, which is the way they build things so that water can't leak through it. And to refurbish that pond as it is, we would have to do something similar to what we've done in some of the larger ponds, where it would need a concrete outfall box of some sort. The berm would either have to be lined with clay on the pond side, or we would actually have to trench through the middle section of the berm and put clay key in there to prevent water from leaking through. And that's all rather expensive, and I'm not at all convinced that the concrete outfalls, which are big boxes, are very attractive. Based on some of our other work, folks haven't been real happy with it. So we did ask Strawn to provide us with some options that would get us to the point where that pond was exempt from 378, and that would require lowering the water level about 2 feet, maybe a little less. And instead of building a new pipe type outfall through the berm, it would provide some sort of other outfall similar to the emergency spillway. So what I'd like to do, I have their report. I would like to share that. And they've got some drawings in there, which I think would be best to show you. And I'm hoping they come out pretty good on our screen share, but I'm not gonna guarantee that. Okay, let's see how this works.
Jonathan, I can't get him as a shared person.
Well,
I'll unshare me. It's just not. I can't do that either. Let me see. Look at your stuff. I'm not getting.
I'm here talking on mute. John, see if you can share now.
well, let's see. I come up with a box that says who can share. Only the host
Okay, good.
or all participants. So you're the host, or did you designate me as a host?
Well, I'm not able to
Oh
for
well.
some reason.
No, I
Okay.
made John the co-host. So John, instead of clicking that little arrow
Yeah.
next to share, the smaller arrow next to share screen, click the big green arrow and see if you can share your screen. The one
Got
that
it.
sits on top of the word share screen.
Bingo. Very good.
There we go.
Yeah. Are you guys getting that box that I see? I can get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is our report. It's got existing conditions. So and we should talk about that just a bit. So it is a 2/10 of an acre pond. It's got about 8 acres that drain into it. It'll hold about 15,000
This is
cubic feet of
interesting.
water.
This discussion.
Are we okay? And it's got about 2.5 acres, 2.61 acres of impervious area. And the impervious area is all up there at the school. So we've done 2 things. One, we went to the county. We went to the school system and we said, hey, this facility serves your school almost exclusively. You have 2 stormwater management facilities that discharge into it. your roof, parking lots, all on that side of the pool, and some of the upgrade with the thermal system, back there in the field also has tendency to drain in there. And so their comment was, yeah, well, that's what it was built for. No, we don't want to do anything. You guys are doing a great job for us. Thank you. So then we went to County Department of Public Works, and we asked the folks over in Stormwater Management if they wanted to help with the cost of an upgrade. And they have a $1 threshold per foot on treating impervious surface that we were not able to meet with the cost of a satisfactory upgrade to the pond. So they also declined. So the CA is on its own on this one. And as I said, what we're interested in doing is becoming exempt from 378, which lowers the risk factor of the pond, and it also lowers long-term maintenance costs for us. So the first option is a single pool, and the single pool, we would lower the current permanent pool elevation by about 2 feet, and we would change the appearance of the berm. The second option is a double pool option, where we would actually create a forebay in it with box gabion or gabion baskets that would have an elevated water level. And I will show you designs for both of those. So this would be the single pool option. And when you're looking at the pond, so I think you can see my cursor. This is the concrete trough that comes down from the older of the school stormwater management facilities. And this heavier black line here is the current pond elevation. This hashed red line here would be the new pond elevation. The significant changes in the berm would be, it would get notched, and that notch would actually be about 5 feet deep on either side, and come down to a riprap line spillway. So instead of water flowing out the side here towards the path when the pond overflowed, it would actually flow down the face of the pond into the current channel below it. And this option would leave a single pool there, somewhat smaller, but a single pool. The second option, and again, a conceptual drawing of it, looks very similar, except you have this gabion basket weir that retains water in this upper end. And what they're indicating is that the water in this smaller pool would actually be 2 feet above, or 1.5 feet above, the elevation of the lower permanent pool. And we had some back and forth discussion about this. You know, these gabion baskets are essentially #1 stone, which is 6 to 8 inch stone held in a heavy wire frame. And we were asking them how they were going to retain water behind that. We weren't quite sure we understood how what we would perceive as a porous gabion basket would hold water. And they they actually were a little unsure as to what kind of liner they might have to put on the upstream side of that weir to keep water retained above it instead of, just passing through the rock. So with this design, I think you have a significantly different looking pool. The weir would stand about 2 feet above water level. And I'm not completely sure that that they can actually attain a 2-foot difference in the water level from one to the next. And I suspect that they would not guarantee that they could, which would leave us in a position where we would not be able to do that. And then from an appearance standpoint, what you'd end up with is a fairly large rock weir in one corner of the pond with the water level all the same. And so those are the two options that we have gotten from the engineer. I think the common points on them are we remove the current 6-inch pipe and give it a surface overflow out the front. And that would relieve the issues with water flowing through the current emergency spillway and out over the pathway with either design. And we have not gone anywhere past this point. We, as indicated, have come back to you, and I would present this to you, ask for your comments, and then say that what I'll do is tomorrow I will send the report over to Sandy, and you guys can let us know what you think. I'd be interested in your thoughts right at the moment.
John, in terms of, going with an option that I guess is, well, actually, maybe both of these items can't be true on one option, but is there an option that's both more environmentally sound and also, I guess, for lack of a better term, built to last for the long run, built to last for the next 50 years? Is there one you would recommend that would better meet both of those criteria?
Well, I think that the single pool option is going to be the longer lasting option, and I think they're actually both environmentally sound. I think most of what we're working on here is a safety issue and an amenity.
Okay. Bill?
John? Oh,
Yes, John, quickly, the 2-pool option, if the weir did hold water long-term, what is the advantage of the 2-pool versus the 1-pool? And secondly, what is the cost of each option? Thanks.
So I think the advantage of the advantage of the 2-pool. In all fairness, I think that would be an engineer's idea, that it gives you a little more water surface. I think you ultimately with the 2 pools, you get a little more water surface than the single pool. So it's strictly based on amenity. As far as cost of the 2, we didn't ask them to cost it out, but obviously more rock with the weir wall and having to place it adds to the cost.
Ginny?
yeah. Hi, John. First of all, thank you for what you did for Oakland Mills. Was it last Friday in the heat?
Yeah.
The Adopt the Stream program. You were phenomenal. The cost thing is something I know CA will want to consider. So will it cost us you more to get those guys to give you a cost? That's question one. Question two is, well, I'll wait for that. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, when we ask them to figure out costs on it, yes, they bill us. And it's a speculative thing because right at the moment, construction material costs have been fluctuating pretty dramatically, particularly rock. And we do have some money set aside for this. So if we can contain the cost within the existing budget, then it shouldn't take that long. We will have to go get permits on this. If it's got to go through the budget process, then we're a year out easy.
Yeah.
And then an engineer's estimates, I find them pretty stale after about a year and a half, given, the change in cost. So that one's a little hard to say.
Okay, well, that sort of still leaves us with a lot of questions as to whether you've got the money or not. But in terms of the depth of the pond right now, you were talking about it would be, if you did option one, I think it'd be 5 feet. What is it currently?
No, actually, it's going to be about 2.5 feet on option one, and the main pool in option two is going to be about 2.5 feet. It's currently about 4.5 feet. At least that's what we think. It's not had a bathymetry since LDE did work in 2001. But this pond doesn't get a lot of sediment. It's not an inline like Patriot, doesn't have a stream flowing to it that's eroding. So I suspect that this pond is somewhere around 4.5 feet deep.
Okay, I'm sorry. Currently, it's 4.5 feet deep, you think? Maybe.
I think it's about 4.5 feet deep.
Okay.
Both of these designs, your main pool would
Yeah.
change it to about 2.5 feet.
You mean, oh, it would lower it to 2.5, wait a
Yes,
minute.
it would lower the water
Mhm.
level.
I thought you said something about 5 feet, so
No,
I
we're
thought it
5
was
feet.
an increase to
5
5.
feet would have to do with the cut in the berm. They
What-
would, instead of having a uniform berm across the lower end of that pond, both of these designs would introduce a surface discharge. So that berm, you would have a cut in that berm and then a rock line discharge, allowing water to safely traverse the front of the berm.
Okay, what I was getting at is when you said 5 feet, I was just interested in your comments about safety for little children around the pond, because there's no fence around it, it's open.
So
Doesn't
we
sound
have
like- that doesn't
a
sound
pretty
like that's
straight
a
up
problem.
policy that we don't fence our water features.
Oh, no, of course not, yeah.
Yeah, because we got a lot of them, and
No, I wasn't recommending that. What I
Good.
was saying is, I thought if it was 5 feet, I thought that's what you had said. Would that be too deep in terms of safety of kids in the neighborhood? But it's not 5 feet, so it's,
No.
okay. All right, thank you. Thanks for all this work.
Are there other questions for John?
John, this is Gary Whitty. This question, you were talking about a cut in the berm.
Yeah.
Okay, would that preclude people from walking on that side of the pond? The
walking
complete
across the
distance?
berm.
Yeah,
But
walking across the cut in the berm, would that preclude people from?
yeah, I
walking across?
suspect that it probably would preclude them, because that cut's going to have to be protected from elevated water flows. So I would suspect that that would be a stone base on that spillway, and that would not be a great place for walking.
Well, just an observation, that place is heavily walked right now. A lot of people, a lot of children walk there, a lot of people with dogs, etc. That's a very popular spot to walk across that entire area.
Well, the pond is fairly open all the way around it, right?
There are two segments that are not completely open. At the very north end and at kind of the southwest end.
Well, I think what we would probably do to accommodate that would be, facilitate, if there's not enough, if it's the brush and the trees are too dense for people to traverse around the backside of the pond, we would fix that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to envision that. That would really totally change the character of the pond.
Well, it would change the berm, yes.
Okay, Warren, and we have 4 minutes left.
Can you real quick go back to the other photo? Sorry, then you can go, Warren.
So Mike. Are we going back?
What do we want to, what do we
Go
need
ahead,
to go
Warren.
back to?
Okay, my question is about this two pool. I'm having trouble visualizing it. Does it holds the water up higher in the first pool?
Yeah,
How
that's
does
it. That is what the engineers are saying. There would be essentially what I'm seeing is a 2-foot difference in the water level in the area they're labeled 4-bay
4-bay, okay.
versus what the permanent pool in the pond area would be.
And then if the 4-bay overflowed, it would just kind of
I believe it would
cascade
just
into the
cascade
pond?
across, yeah, it would just cascade across the Gabion Weir.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions from the board?
John, this is
All right,
Gary
John,
Whitty. Should I just ask a question or should I hold off until the board finishes?
we're out of time. And I want to make sure we get our next steps in. So, John, when do you need feedback from us?
Well, I think that from what I gather, you guys have some discussion that you want to make, and I don't really have a timeline on this. We have not lined up construction. We have not gone anywhere past this concept point. I guess I'm of a mind that I don't want to spend money on something that you guys are going to object to strenuously and then have to, change course somewhere. So I guess what I would do is I would put this in your lap, and when you guys have reached a consensus, then we could move forward.
So I know, I know the site fairly well. I don't know if everyone on the board does. I wanted to ask my colleagues on the board if it would be a helpful next step to do a site visit there with John. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how everyone can read the drawings. I don't know what kind of picture everyone has in their head. Usually if I'm not as familiar with the site as I am with this one, that would be what I would like to do.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, if John can do it, I think that's a great idea.
Well, what I would suggest maybe is if we went there to Stevens Forest, then maybe we would also slip over to Patriot Pond, because Patriot Pond suffered an emergency spillway failure back in 2011 when we had that. We had 3 inches of rain in about 45 minutes, and it blew the spillway out of Patriot Pond. And they built a spillway there for that pond. I don't think they would look quite the same because that pond has a significantly larger drainage area, and the flows through that pond can be very heavy during big storm events. And there's also a pathway on the berm. So we bridged it, but in concept, it looks somewhat similar. And you know, that might be helpful visualizing. I don't know. I would offer that.
Yeah, and the other thing that would be helpful to me, John, to Gary's point, you know, if you need to take some walking area to build a new spillway, but you think you can reclaim that by clearing out brush elsewhere, it might be helpful to walk around and figure out how that would work to
Yeah, I would agree
ensure
with
that it's still
100%.
accessible.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Would the rest of the board like to do a field trip in the coming days or weeks?
Yeah.
I would love it. That'd be
Okay.
great. I do have is there an example of the two pool solution anywhere? Have you seen
Not
that,
as
John?
designed here. We have 4 bays on several of our ponds, but they're either distinctly separate at a different elevation or they're at the same elevation. I'll have to hunt around. I'll call the engineer, see if he's got a picture or something, because I'm not doing a really good job visualizing this one either. I was actually having trouble figuring out whether it would work or not, but you know, I guess that's kind of an impolite question to ask an engineer. You pay them to design something for you, and then you turn around and say, is that going to work? Yeah. So, yeah. So maybe what I can do is I'll work with Sandy and we'll get a doodle pool going or something, and see if we can't put something together.
Yeah, that sounds good. And Sandy, I mean, since, you know, basically since the board is going to be convening an on-site meeting with John, and we'll probably have a quorum of the members, we'll also just share when that's happening publicly, you know, to ensure that we don't violate any open meeting rules or anything, and we'll have a little meeting at the pond.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Well, and also at Patriot that I think Rebecca and Warren can probably find.
I think so, yes.
I thought we decided we were going to drain that one.
Well, yeah, a swamp drain. But they haven't heard about it yet. John, you're not supposed to tell them.
Sorry. All right, John, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
All right.
And
well, thank you.
yeah, please coordinate with Sandy and we'll figure out a date that works.
I'll do it.
All
Thanks,
right. Thank you.
John.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we're on to the board chair report. So couple of things pertaining to our village center. One, we've learned that we're going to be down another pizza place. Little Caesars is relocating to the Long Reach Village Center. So for
What?
those who were concerned that we had 3 pizza places in the village center, come mid-June, I think we'll have 1 pizza place in the village center. Pizza Man is doing fine. But yeah, Little Caesars is relocating to Long Reach. Sandy has reached out to the owner, but hasn't heard back yet, you know, about why. And of course, Little Caesars does not own that property. So the owner of that property will hopefully be finding another tenant to occupy that property. In other village center news, I think we all know, well, yeah, we shared this with the last board. You know, Cedar is in the process of divesting itself of its commercial real estate properties. So both OMCA and CA received some documents from Cedar, you know, basically asking us to you know, sign off to indicate that, you know, terms of covenants haven't changed. They're in good standing, you know, financially with CA. So CA is taking care of their part. And I'm going to go ahead and sign on behalf of OMCA. But what we're going to do is in the document that I sign and send back, we're also going to attach a list of all of their violations they haven't taken care of, because while they have not asked for an inspection as part of their sale, since they are asking us to sign off about where they stand relative to the covenants, we think that we should, let them know and let their, the future owner know where things stand on the covenants. So it looks like that, the process of selling off the village center is moving along. And it's not just, Cedar's not just selling this village center, they're divesting themselves of, I believe, all of their commercial real estate properties. So they're selling off everything they have, their whole portfolio. Let me see, was there anything else to cover? No, I don't. Ginny, did you have a question?
Yeah, on the village center. So what does that mean for the second chance building being taken care of?
Well, Cedar never came back with a satisfactory plan for taking down that building and replacing it with whatever. So, that building as it stands with all its violations will be noted in what we send back to Cedar.
Okay, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I don't understand Little Caesars, quite frankly. They always seem to be doing a great business. That's the drive-through was a brilliant idea.
They do. I've heard a couple of, community rumors from people who may or may not have spoken to the manager there, but I'd prefer that hopefully the owner will get back to Sandy and, tell her what's really going on.
Do we know if the bank that formerly was there owns the property or?
I think it's a private owner,
It's
right,
a
Sandy?
private owner. Last we knew, he lived in Rockville, was a dentist. I have
Oh,
his
okay.
contact information.
Okay, that's right. He brought from the bank and
Yeah, he owns the whole building.
yeah, now I remember that. Okay. All right.
And just to clarify, Sandy has reached out to the owner of Little Caesars, not the owner of the building.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions?
Maybe we should call the New York style pizza guy and tell him we got another building for him.
He never responded to the last email I sent him. So he kind of disappeared on me. And it's, it's almost not worth asking Cedar what's up with that storefront because they're not going to own it much longer. So I'm hoping once this comes under new ownership, we'll see something happen. I mean, the good news is the village center has been in demand. These other than Second Chance, which they weren't trying to fill, these vacancies have filled very quickly. As it turns out, maybe 3 pizza places were too many for one little area like that.
You know what I'd like to ask when Sandy, if you meet with the owner, whether they got a better deal from the county in Long Reach.
Yeah, right.
The other thing, Calvin's trying to, well, anyway, but the other thing is, where do you get a drive-through up there? The liquor store, I think, has a drive.
I've heard it will not have a drive-through, but I don't know exactly where they're going.
That's a big mistake because I think they have Domino's. Maybe that went out of business. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never go there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't either. So,
And
okay.
I don't know if they're going to a county-owned portion of the property or elsewhere. But
The only part that isn't owned by county is the Exxon and the deli, or maybe the liquor store.
Right.
Free.
And the deli, I think, is empty. So we don't know that it's
It is?
not. Is it not? Someone said, are they going to the deli space? I don't know.
The deli killed the whole project for the private sector that would have had a phenomenal development up there because he was greedy. He wouldn't sell his property. So if he's out of business, never mind.
I don't know. If anyone's up there, see if the deli's open.
well, let's see what you hear from their owner.
If
and then
I
we'll go
hear.
from there. Yeah, if you hear. Yeah.
I'll go into the store and ask when he'll be there next.
Okay. Sounds good. And that's all I have until I'm back for the Education Committee, unless there are questions for me. All right, I'll pass it off to Ginny.
Oh, thank you. And thanks everybody for passing that resolution. And maybe you could consider your usual approach of sending it on to other board chairs or village managers in other villages with the rewording. So it read more like a village board, a village community association. That would be great. So CA, well, we have a new board. They all got sworn in, sworn at, whatever, 2 weeks ago. And we're all excited. We're meeting Thursday night, and looking forward to a complete reorganization of how we function. Eric is the chair, I'm the vice chair, my favorite spot in the world. I think it's going to be a really great year. I think you're going to see a lot more action for those of you that care about open space. I know you all do, but I mean, for those specifically, I think you're going to see some more action there. Now you're going to see the board function. Well, anyway, I guess I don't want to be, maybe I'll just stick with, I think you're going to see a lot more issues being handled. And so what I'm getting at, I guess, is any concerns that you have, and especially around the budget process or any others, we're really looking at things as to how we can do things better. So any feedback that you have or suggestions would be really appreciated. And I'll just keep you up to date. I send you a lot of stuff that I get. If you have any questions on what I'm sending, or if you think I'm sending too much, I can take you off the list, whatever. I try and share whatever I get with you and with the board. But if you think it's too much, or you think it's not relevant, or you really don't care about these issues, just, let me know, and I won't bother you with it. So, any questions for me? Okay, all right.
All right, thank you, Ginny. And now we're on to Sandy.
Okay, I really don't have much to report since last meeting, where our rentals are very busy. Trained some new people, had an incident that was handled very professionally during one of the parties with some guests, and our staff members were amazingly professional in how they handled it and contacted me and Brigida. No one was hurt, no damage, but there was a little bit of a fight. So it was all handled really well. So I was really proud of them for that. And the police were called. Everyone was kind of ushered outside, but just to be on the safe side for what could have happened outside of the building, we did call the police, and they just kind of moved everyone along in a way. So it all ended fine. And we had AP testing the past 2 weeks ago, which went really well. And this summer, because the village in Howard moves out of their building for our summer camp that moves in, I've offered them use of our space if for some of their bridge clubs or whatever they want, the other barn, they can come there during the times that we're open and use the space there. I really can't think of anything else. We had a Lively Arts concert. Thank you to Brigida. It was outside in the courtyard, and there were probably 50 or so adults and children there. So that was great on Friday. Thanks, CA, for fixing our staining and sanding the benches in the courtyard so they look nice. The courtyard looks really, really lush right now with all the rain. That's it.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Any questions for Sandy? All right, we're just going to move right along. Committee reports. Jerome, do you have anything public for architecture? I know we have a closed session coming.
No, I'm still getting my feet wet on the being the chair of the architecture committee, but for this week, I have nothing for the group.
Okay, thank you. All right, Warren, public space.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, we met Tuesday. We talked about the circle on Stevens Forest, and we talked about visiting that space, that circle. And Bill, thank you, Bill. He organized it, and we're looking at. We collected some data about the size of that circle, and Bill did some other circles. One was on Cradle Rock and Homespun, and the other one is Martin and was that Owen Brown? Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not sure what we'll do with that, but we're still investigating that. Their spin scooters are coming, the e-scooters, they're coming to Columbia. Bob Marietta announced that they were going to come Monday, but now I've read that it's June 1st. But he said what they're going to have is they're called corrals. And you'll bring I guess you get a discount if you park your scooter in a corral, and that's a way of preventing some of the scooter litter. That's one of the problems people have with scooters, is people just leave them helter-skelter.
Right.
And Bob Marietta said that tomorrow he's meeting with them about where they're going to put the corral at HCC. So anyway, that's fun to be had by all. I highly recommend riding on a scooter. They're a lot of fun. We're having a bike corral for the 4th of July. This will be our second one, and I wanted to get the word out to people at the villages, and I'm trying to figure out how we would do that. Maybe Sandy, you could make some suggestions.
Say you can send me something to send to all the villages, or you can send something to all the villages. I mean, I have all their emails, but you create what you want to say, and I can ask them to include it in upcoming, all of their village newsletters.
That's perfect. That's what
Okay,
we'll do.
just send me something.
I will do that. All right, thank you. The final thing I had was Free Bikes for Kids is doing, that's a great program where they collect bikes and they give them out to kids, and it's just really cool. Ted Cochran does that, and he's just got an enormous amount of bikes that they give away every year. And they're doing a safety check, bike safety check at the libraries. They did it last Saturday at East Columbia, and then they're doing one at June 11th at Elkridge, and then the 25th at the Central Library. So you can just bring your bike there if you have a kid's bike, and volunteers will give a safety check. I thought it was really cool. And that's all I have. Any questions? Anything else?
Yeah.
Sure, Jenny.
A quick question, actually a comment. When Rebecca and Megan and I were doing the Adopt a Stream down off Macomba, John was there the whole time, John McCoy, but then Dennis came along, his supervisor, to just
Sure.
check on it. He came on an e-scooter, and he said he really enjoyed it in the path system, but once in a while he had to get on a sidewalk, and it was terrible. So his concern is the sidewalks are not in the best shape in many places, and I don't know nothing we can do about that. That's a county problem.
Right. That's good to know. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I thought, Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks.
Warren. All right, I'll do education. So the education committee met tonight, and we talked about a few things. First of all, just recap the budget testimony May 5th. So OMCA was the only live speaker to speak in support of the renovations to Oakland Mills Middle and Oakland Mills High. So we talked about, getting the word out, making sure people don't get complacent, because we know from the Talbot Springs experience and other experiences that just because you had a victory a few months ago doesn't mean it can't be taken away a few months from now. I still need to go through all the written testimony to see how, what kind of written testimony came in. There are pages and pages of it, because it was not just a capital budget hearing, it was also the operating budget. We also did talk about the operating budget a little bit, and this is actually a pretty good operating budget for the school system. It kind of raises the base, which means in future years the minimal, what is it called, the minimal, I just forgot the term, minimal effort, minimal, oh my gosh, the maintenance of effort, we'll start from the base of the previous year, so it sets the school system up well for the future. And the Board of Education is set to meet on the 26th to adopt both the operating budget and the capital budget and capital improvement plan. We also talked about some goings on at the schools. Most notably, next school year is going to mark the 50th anniversaries for Stevens Forest Elementary and Oakland Mills Middle School. So those two school communities are, planning events to recognize the 50th anniversaries. And we have a couple of members of the committee, Abby being one of them. Hi, Abby, who are going to check to see who funds the banners, because some schools, when they've had big anniversaries, they put a banner up outside the school, recognizing it for 50 years of service to the community. For example, I think Thunder Hill had one a couple of years ago, and if that's if that's not something the school system does for the schools, if it's a community effort, we'll work on, making sure we get the funds raised in the community over the summer, so that when the kids return to those two buildings in the fall, they'll return to a banner telling them that their school is 50 years old. And other than that, we just talked about events going on at the schools. There's still opportunities to build bricks at Talbot Springs. And there'll probably be, some kind of a grand opening, ribbon cutting, something or other this summer at Talbot Springs. It is closing down 3 days earlier than the other schools, because they basically have to, they're really taking it to the wire. They have to get everything out of that building and start demolishing it, because that building has to be gone when the kids return to school in late August, or there won't be any fields or parking or anything there. So I know both of my kids are very jealous to know that the school up the street is closing 3 days earlier than their schools are. But I said, too bad, your schools aren't getting knocked down over the summer. And I think that pretty much covers everything. There's about a month to go in the school year. The education committee will probably take at least 1 month off for summer break. We're still talking about dates we'll meet over the summer, but we do want to meet certainly as we get later into the summer toward the beginning of the next school year, just to ensure that we are prepared for the next school year. So that was the education committee meeting in a nutshell. Any questions?
One thing that concerns me, Jonathan, is we need to look carefully at, and I'm not making any endorsements or anything, but look at who's running for the school board, and that they, is there any way we can talk to them about our issues, get together with them and really see if they're supportive of our issues, or make it clear, especially the ones that are running countywide. It may be worth.
They're all running countywide.
Well, that's
this year. It's for the
That's
two
right.
at-large seats.
That's right. Yeah. So that's really extremely important that Oakland Mill, or maybe the education committee wants to hold a forum or something.
We have held forums in the past,
Right.
and normally what we've done is we've held, for better or worse, we've held forums before the general election rather than during the primaries, because there's so many forums going on with the primaries that we tried to time it in a way that our forum wasn't just one of 15 that week. So it's something we could look into again. It takes some work to put it together, and it's been a few years since we've done it, but we were doing them. I would say we did what, 3 or 4 of them
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, one long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah, we used to alternate. We used to do a town hall with the superintendent and administrators in non-election years, and then a forum in election years. And then the new superintendent said he wouldn't do town halls that he doesn't organize himself, so the town halls went away. And um, actually, in the last Board of Education cycle, we didn't do a forum because a member of our board was also a candidate, so we thought there would be a conflict of interest if OMCA held a forum, while we had a candidate in the election. So it's something I can reach out to the education committee about too, and see if it's something we can put together along with Sandy and Brigida.
Yeah, and some of us, I'm sure, would be willing to help on that because
Yeah.
it's so important. Okay.
Yeah, but what we've generally done is, like I said, we've generally done one for the general election, and it's usually been in the kind of early in the school year, like in late September, early October is when we've, I think, done them in the past.
Well, how many candidates, I should know this, are running for the 2 seats right now in the primary?
I should know this too. 1, 2, 3. Is it 6? Is it 6 of them?
Okay, and it'll be narrowed down to 4, right, for the general?
I believe so, yes. Let
Yeah.
me
Well, I get,
I'm trying to think, is it 6? There's Chen, Newberger, McCoy, Adler. I'm thinking of 5 immediately, but I want to say there's a 6th one in there.
well, here's my point. I almost would argue for we should do it both times because if there's a couple of people that we really think are good, you want the public to see them and hear their statements so that they will be supporting and help get them through to the general for people and not lose them. So there's an advantage to supporting some of these candidates early. I have the foggiest idea who they'd be, okay? I really don't. I'm even asking you how many are running. I've got to get my act together. So I almost think we need to do it twice. I know it's work, but it would be
When's the primary?
July.
19th, I think. Wait a
I
minute.
think that's really tight. I mean, we started planning for the past ones like now for October.
Yeah, July 19th is the primary.
There's 8
I-
people running.
What?
Oh, we're up to
People
8 now?
running. Yeah.
It's 8?
Yeah,
What
so
am I forgetting? Now I'm going to the list here.
you're forgetting that you just filed. Okay. Never mind. Wasn't paying attention.
I am.
Well, okay, I mean, if
Is
we're
it 8?
talking,
1,
could we consider something where this side of the road, I hate to use 29 as a divider, but the villages on this side co-sponsor and we have it at the barn. And something where July, in June, we just have an event where they speak and people from the audience ask them questions, make it an hour-long thing or something. Not elaborate with a lot of food or anything like that, but people get to see these people because this is important. Those 2 people can make a difference in terms of winning our issues or not, but I'm going to drop it at this point.
yeah,
Okay.
I've never heard of one of these people. I think what we could do is there are a lot of other forums. I think we could publicize those to get them in on such late notice, I think would be near impossible.
Okay.
And because of the timing and because of it basically being the end of the school year, the people who would usually help to do these things are busy with all of their end of the school year events. I mean, there's like a concert or a banquet or an award ceremony or something like every night of the week, for the rest of the school year. And then we're almost into the primary anyway, because the school year ends on June 17th. So
Okay.
I agree with you. In a perfect world, and maybe next cycle we could
Mhm.
plan for something like that during the primaries, but we've never really been able to pull it off
No.
during the primaries.
Yeah, I think you and Sandy have some good points, but I like the idea of publicizing it, but maybe what would be helpful too is if we presented the people that are reading what we're publicizing some questions that they should be asking if they attend
Mhm.
meeting in Elkridge with these candidates or Ellicott City or someplace else in Columbia, so that they can make sure they raise the questions that impact, to get answers that impact on our school system. That would be a good compromise. But anyway, I'm going to drop it again.
Yeah, and there's a lot out there on these candidates already. And I mean, a lot of the forums they've been to have been recorded. So you can go and watch recordings of forums they've attended.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda is the board bulletin board. I'm going to pick you first, Amy, because I always do.
I don't have anything today.
All right, Ginny, anything?
Just one thing I should have put under mine. Actually, I'm concerned that John's saying that the school board is basically saying, tough luck, we appreciate your taking all our water, drainage. I really was getting angry about that. I don't think that's right, and I'm going to raise that with CA. I think the school board has a responsibility. I was almost tempted to say, well, could we build a wall there so that they got to keep their water on their property until they decide to contribute to this? It's just not fair to CA lien payers again to have to pay for something that's the county.
Well, funny thing, because my reaction was, I think CA should build a big dam just on their side of the property, so all the water backs up
Yeah, well, that's
onto
what I meant by
the
a
school
wall.
system's
Yeah.
property. So this is I mean, well, you know how I feel. This to me is a big problem with the school system. They have repeatedly, in my opinion, demonstrated that they don't necessarily care what's happening once you're beyond their borders, or sometimes even once you're on their
Within
borders.
their borders, yeah.
Look what we've dealt with, with the hill at Oakland Mills High School, and some of the mess we've tried to encourage them to clean up. It took years to get them to take down those broken old lights on the basketball courts at Oakland Mills Middle. So it's the problem is not unique to that area. Now, I will tell you, they whether they admit it or not, they have problems on their own land, because that water that drains toward the pond from Stevens Forest, a lot of it also backs up between the parking lot, between the drop off on the back of the parking lot at Stevens Forest and their playgrounds. That area is basically an ice rink in the winter if we have rain and then a freeze, and it's a swamp when it's above freezing for several days after the rain. It's the kids cannot use that space because there is just standing water. So there could actually be a lot more draining toward the pond, except they've done such a poor job there that some of it just sits there behind the school. So they have problems on their own property they're not taking care of, but that's generally what they do. Their attitude toward a lot of the external exterior issues is I don't see anything.
No, I know in Atherton High School, it's flooding across Freetown Road into the farm. And it's also flooding other properties, and it's like, yeah, so the people that own the farm are trying to figure out ways to deal with stormwater drainage. Yeah, I mean, it's just not fair. Okay.
But yeah, I'm all for you, trying to get CA to push back against the school system. And it really is pushing back against the school system versus, I mean, it is the county school system, but the school system maintains their grounds.
Maybe we could get our representative for this district to help us on it too. Okay.
All right. Sandy, anything? Rebecca?
Yeah, hold on one second. Yards Alive had our yard tour on Sunday. We had 8 houses, well, 7 houses plus the Interfaith Center. And we had about 30 people stop by, despite it being, what was it, 90 some degrees and threat of tornadoes and whatever. So that was a pretty great turnout and everybody was super excited. About half the people were from Oakland Mills and half the people were from other villages, Wild Lake and Long Reach, primarily town center. But it was a really awesome success. So that's all.
Great.
Congratulations.
All right,
We're
Warren.
gonna take a break for, sorry, we're gonna,
Oh.
and we planted the cul-de-sac Saturday too. I forgot to tell you that. Moon Gong is all planted. So if anybody wants to drive past Moon Gong, it won't look like much because they're baby plants. So it'll take a while for them to fill in. But so that's enough from Yards Alive for a little bit. We did all of our work. We're gonna take a little break and we'll be back in the fall probably with another plant share.
Great. Warren?
Great job.
I don't have anything, but Rebecca, I'm real sorry, and Megan, I'm real sorry that I missed the Yards Alive this Sunday. The tornado warnings and the heat kept me inside, so.
All right, Jerome.
Nothing for the group.
Okay, Bill?
Yes, quick by way of explanation to Jerome, our new board member, welcome to the board, and to everybody in the viewing audience. I come late to the meetings about 7:10, 7:15 if we don't have a critical vote early, because I coach girls soccer till 7 up at Oakland Mills Middle School. And I've got 2 teams right now coordinating with the assistant coaches, wrap it up, get it done, and get out of there. So that's why when we don't have an early vote, I'm 7:10, 7:15 getting here. When we have an early vote, then I get my assistants to finish up and I leave a little early. So by way of explanation, it's another commitment giving back to the community. I've been doing it for 48 years and it's a lot of fun and it keeps me alive and well. So thank you for your patience with me getting there a little late. Thank you.
Bill, do you realize that we voted to give each board member 150% pay increase?
That,
At the
those
beginning
that
of the
were
meeting?
here, those
Go
that-
board members, go
Yeah.
board members.
Yeah, so everyone except Bill is getting 150% increase over the 0 that we got last year.
Jonathan, is it in Bitcoin?
It's 150% times 0 in Bitcoin. All right. And I don't have anything for the bulletin board either. However, we do have a legal architecture matter we need to take care of, but we do need a motion to go into closed session. So is there a motion to go to closed session? Okay, there's a motion from Bill. Is there a second? Second from Warren. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of going to closed session? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Okay. So for everyone who is not a member of the board or the village manager, we are going to move you out to the waiting room while we're in closed session.
Or Amy, okay? Amy can stay.
Oh, and Amy,
She
I'm
wants.
sorry.
Yeah.
We're going to move you out to the waiting room while we're in closed session. Now, we are doing closed session at the end of the meeting. So the only thing we'll do when we return to the meeting is announce the outcome of the closed session and then adjourn the meeting. So you're welcome to stick around in the waiting room to hear that. And if not, have a great night. Okay, we are out of closed session. So I am readmitting people from the waiting room. The purpose of our closed session was to consider the removal of the flag on the annual charge account and restoring access to CA facilities on a property that has come back into covenant compliance. And the members of the architecture committee did vote in favor of taking that action. So that was the outcome of our closed session. And that was also the last item on our meeting agenda. So in our open session, we will now adjourn the village board meeting. Thank you very much.
Night, everybody.